Which side are you on?
Hey! What's up, my peoples? EmGo here, the freaking geek himself, and today we will be reviewing the X-Transbots Bond James. So here we are, and there he is, and first and foremost, as always, we'll take a quick look at the packaging. Right up front here, we have some nice artwork of Bond and James. His name is James Bond James. He is a double agent. On top we have Bond James. On this side we have Bond James. On the bottom we have a future release. On this side we always have the nice deep quote here. Don't mention your move before you make a move. Ooh. On the back you have your very G1E kind of battle scene going on here, and your very G1E text spec card with your bio if you want to read it. And that is basically it for the packaging. Also included is the collector's card with that same image there of Bond James. And on the back you have that bio again and text specs if that interests you. Hooray for cards. And moving right along, here we have Bond James, and this is X-Transbots' take on Counterpunch, a personal favorite of mine for no other reason because I just think he's cool. But here he is in his alt mode. He is packed in alt mode. Yay! Yeah, a nice blue car here. But let's get in close here so we can take a look at the details. You can see those front lights there picked out in orange. You do have headlights that can pop up. If you push up on these sections right here, you can pop up those headlights. Sometimes they can get a little stuck. There we go. You can just pop that up and pop that up. And you actually have some nice transparent headlights going on in there. Looks quite nice. And you just have the windows and windshields painted in black. You have some nice chromed red rims. There's orange on the side, black stripe going down the length. Got the spoiler there, some black stripage along the back. And all the taillights and everything are also picked out in paint. You have the exhausts done in a nice chrome. And there is the top, there's the bottom. He does have visible hair syndrome. I mean, you can hide his face, but I mean, that's still his head right there. You do have rubber tires, and you can roll as rolling things should. Hooray for rolling. A nice smooth roll, too. Very nice smooth roll, like butter, like butter. And for comparison, here he is with Masterpiece Side Swipe, just to hopefully give you a sense of the scale here. And here he is with MP44 Optimus Prime, so you can see how that works out. And with, unfortunately, the only punch counterpunch that I own, here it is with the Power of the Primes version. I don't have a G1 punch counterpunch, unfortunately, because finding a complete one for a price that I actually want to pay is dang near impossible. But hey, I have this one. It's something, but eventually I'll get my hands on that precious. But there you go. Now, as far as accessories go, we get his Decepticon mode blaster here. It's cast in black, but a nice little pistol. And we also get his Autobot mode weapon here, cast in yellow. So we get that. There's a couple other accessories, but those are mainly for robot mode, so we'll get to that when we get to robot mode. Now, as far as storage goes, you can store the weapons in the alt mode. For the Decepticon blaster, you just fold the barrel down and then just fold this back section up like so. And then it helps if you pop open the central piece here. And basically there are these two tabs here on the other side that basically just go into these little notches right here where the hinges are. So you just kind of get that into place. And just kind of drop it in there, and then just bring that down, and that is where that gun stores. Nice and neat. And as far as the Autobot weapon goes, this does have a rotating handle, so you basically just want to rotate it. And there are slots on either side right back here. Now this one can be a little hard to kind of get situated, but it's doable. It's just not the most positive grab either. And this is the one that kind of can fight you a bit. But once you get it in place, it will stay. There we go. It fights you a little bit, but there you go. I mean, it's still kind of a loose connection. I mean, it won't fall off. I mean, you can still roll them around and everything. It stays on, but you can tell it's just kind of a loose connection. Wish I was a little bit firmer, but, you know, it doesn't fall off, so it holds well enough. But there you have your storage. Hooray for what? Storage. And one funny thing I have to point out here, because I just thought this was hilarious the second I saw it, you can open up the doors, and in here, you can see kind of his hands make up the seat, and that's just... This is how Counterpunch just cops a cheap feel. That's how, hey ladies, come on in, have a seat. You know, that's just... That's just rude. Anyway, there. So that is basically it for the vehicle mode. So let's get down to transformation, shall we? That was the best spin I can get with rubber tires, I think. But there we go. Let's get down to transformation. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is open up the doors here. And here's where our trickiest part comes in. So basically what we want to do is we want to undo this little section right here. It's just connected by this little tab right here. And this tab is actually pretty tight. Now, you can make things a little bit easier by just untabbing this little section here from the forearm and just dropping the arm down. That gives you a little extra room here to grab onto. And I did shave this tab down a little bit so it makes life a little bit easier. But basically just kind of give it a little wiggle. I find that pulling up also kind of helps, but just be careful, because it is, you can see here, it's not a large tab. And like I said, I filed down the very bottom of it, and it did help a bit. It does come undone a lot better, but again, just exercise caution there, exercise caution. But again, I feel the best way to do it is to also just undo that arm and bring it down, get it out of the way so you can grab a hold of this. And then just kind of give it a little wiggle and just kind of, again, be careful, and then just kind of pop it up. And it should come undone. Hopefully you won't break that. And again, if you get it undone and it still feels like it's way too tight, again, just kind of shave down the bottom of this tab just a little bit, and that should help you. So once you have done that, we're just going to just kind of crack them in half here, just undo those tabs. And now we can start working on the legs. So now what we want to do is we want to untab the spoiler. It tabs in right here. So all you're going to do is just kind of pull this up a little bit to undo that tab, and then just pull it over to the side. It will undo this section, and now you can raise this up. And again, just pull this up and just kind of pull it to the side and bring that up. Now we want to undo this panel right here. Now all you have to do is just pop this out, and this is as far as this panel goes. That's it. That's its limit. If you try to pull it down any further, you will break it. That's as far as it goes. That is it. That is all you are doing. Why they didn't make this hinge come down further, I don't know. I guess they wanted all this just to look nice and clean and flush, but still, I would have preferred a little bit of a gap if it meant I could bring this down further and not risk breaking anything, but, you know. Decisions were made. Were they good? Not really, but decisions were made. But anyway, just pop that open. Again, that's as far as that goes. And now you can open this panel up here, like that. And now we can bring the leg down. Now the knee is on a slider, so bring it down and then just kind of start sliding it over. And then when you get it straightened out, slide it the rest of the way over. So it is sitting right there. Now once that is done, you take this panel, flip that down, and then you can bring that in. And now you want to take this section right here, and you want to undo that. Just untab that. And at this point now you can close the door back up. Just tab that back in, and you want to flip down the windshield and also make sure the side view mirror goes with it. Then you're going to bring all of this up, and there's going to be a tab slot connection right there. So just take that and just tab that into place. And there's also a little notch that the little tab sits in as well. And make sure all that is slid over. And there you have that part of the leg all done. So now for the foot, we're going to take this section here and just swing it down on this hinge. We're going to take this section here and pull it down. Make sure you pull it down all the way as far as it will go. And now we can work on the foot. So what's going to happen here is we're going to take this panel right here. You focus on the panel camera. There we go. Take this panel right here. It's on a double hinge. So just bring it up and then bring the spoiler down And two panels should line up. They won't line up perfectly, but they'll line up well enough. And then you can fold this section in, and it just kind of tucks in right under there like that. Wish there was a little bit more space, because you kind of feel like you're flexing things a little bit, but just get that tucked right under there like so. Once that is done, you can then rotate this up, and then you're going to collapse this in and straighten out these hinges here, and you're going to have a tab slot connection right there, and tab that in like so. Just straighten all this out. You have this little tab also you just want to flip in. That's just for that's just to get the two halves tabbed together for the vehicle mode. But once you got all that done, and how dare you come undone? That's the first time that's happened. Usually once this is in place, it stays in place. How dare you? Disrespectful. Disrespect. There we go. But there you go. There you have a leg. You stay tabbed in. Why are you fighting me? Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. So you have a leg all done. Second verse is just like the first. And there you have both legs done. Hooray for legs. And now we move on to the upper body. So now what we're going to do here. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. There is this panel on the hood that you can... It does rotate, and I guess that's if you want to put a faction symbol on it, and you want one side with the faction symbol and one side with no faction symbol, or if you want to have an Autobot symbol on one and then a Decepticon symbol on the other. I guess that's what that's for, but yeah, you have that panel there. But anyway, back to transforming. So what we want to do is we want to take the central section and just bring that back, and now we're going to untab these sections here. They tab in right here, so just kind of pull this up to untab it, and then just swing it out. Untab and swing that out, and now we can work on his arms here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the arms, just bring them up, let's kind of swoop into place, and this L-shaped panel right here, you're just going to push that in, and then you can bring the whole arm down. And now we can rotate it. If you're looking at it this way, you want this yellow facing you, and then you just bring this hand down. You can close up the fingers and then just rotate the fist so it's oriented properly. It's oriented basically for Decepticon mode. But there you have an arm all done, and we're going to do the same thing with the other side. Okay, so we got the arms done, and now it's time to work on his back / chest. So what we want to do here, we want to just get this out of the way, just bring that back. Helps if you bring the shoulders up. So what's going to happen here is we want to take these side panels, we want to bring them out, and we have to slide them up. Now, if you can see here, there's a little tab there, a little blue tab that ends up underneath this yellow panel here. So it helps if you kind of angle this up. This is on a hinge, so kind of angle this up and then slide this up. This side is a lot tighter than this side. This side I have problems kind of getting pushed up. It just likes to fight. Yeah, there we go. Get that up, and then you can just kind of drop that down, and this side goes in a lot easier. There you go. That just slides right in, like so, and that will make the chest / back. And now you have these little panels right here. You just flip out on either side. Just flip that out, and boop, flip that out, like so. And now we can work on his other chest / back. So, take this entire windshield assembly and rotate it 180. We're going to take this section right here. We're going to just swing this up, and then we're going to fold this in and fold that in, fold this in and fold that in, and then this section of the hood will fold down like so. And then we just take all of this, and it will just tuck down. You want it to tuck down right into that hinge right there. And that'll just drop in, so it looks like that. And then we're just going to push all this in, and we have these two tabs, which are going to end up under these two slots right here. So you can just raise this up a bit, and it'll just drop itself right in. And you just give that a little push from the top. That should secure that in place like so. Now, this is a step I don't really bother with. I didn't even do it in the JTI. I mentioned it in the JTI, but I didn't even do it in the JTI because the difference is just, it's minuscule. But you can open up this chest panel here, and there's these little panels right here. These little panels can flip in. And honestly, the hinges are actually quite tight on my copy. That's probably why I don't mess with them, because they're just too tight and really not worth the effort. But again, you flip in these little panels right here, Yeah, it cleans it up, but it's just, it's such a minor difference. Like, would you notice otherwise? Not really, but that's a thing you can do if you want to do it, really. And the last thing to do here is work on his belly. So we have these panels here on the sides that you just flip back, and this bottom panel right here will flip under like so. And there you go. There you have Bond James in his robot mode. And by default, the way he transforms, he ends up in his Decepticon robot mode. But I think it looks pretty good. I like it. I personally like it. I have my critiques, but for the most part, I think he looks pretty good. But let's get in close here so we can take a look not at those abs, but at the noggin. Whoop, there's the noggin. So here's his Decepticon face sculpt. Got that nice red there for the visor. And you got the white and the blue mouthplate there. Some nice detail in the helmet. You got that silver there on the chest. You can see those nice chromed red wheels on the shoulders. And just a whole lot of blue. Just a whole lot of blue. You can see his toesies there. And over the back. Just as clean as the front, because it needs to be. There is his front slash back, and his back slash front. That's out. Yeah, that's how it works. But anyway. But yeah, there you have that. Now, articulation-wise, the head can move up and down a little bit. Now, granted, you can kind of move his other face out of the way. You can get a little extra movement. But again, it's not a whole lot of movement. He can't do total squirrel, but, you know, a little bit. Head can do a full 360. The arms can do a full 360. They can move in and out. One thing I wish is that the shoulder joint was just a little, you know, just a little beefier, because, you know, when you raise his shoulder up, it looks like there's not much holding his arm onto his body. I just wish things were just a little bit more fleshed out there in that shoulder connection. Some people have been having issues with the shoulders being loose. Mine's are fine. I had no looseness issues, but there are screws there you can tighten if you do have that issue. Now, if it's an issue of the screws are loosening themselves as you're moving it, then that's the case. You might have to do a fix. One thing you can do is invest in a little tube of this, a Loctite thread locker. That will do the trick. Or you can also do super glue, but that requires more of a technique that I'm not going to go into now, but you can always just do thread locker. It's a much easier way to go about it. You just put a little drop of this on the screw it in, and voila. But anyway, what are we talking about? Articulation, that's what we're talking about. So we do have a bicep rotation here. We do have a double jointed elbow. And it works kind of weird. They did manage to work in a double jointed elbow that goes both ways, although once you engage it, things look kind of weird and just kind of oddly separated. And then when you bend it back the other way for Autobot mode, then it looks like that. And, I mean, you know, kudos, credit where it's due. They managed to figure out a way to give it a double jointed elbow for both modes, but it's just kind of weird how it just kind of ends up being this kind of accordion deal. There could have been a better way to do it. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't pretend to be, and I don't play one on TV, but, you know, hey. I will give them kudos that they've found a way to figure that out in some way, whether it be a good way or not, matter of opinion. But you do have waist rotation. You do also have some ab crunch that will, of course, go both ways. Legs can go forward that far. Back, you get that far, even further. Outward, make sure you move these skirt panels out of the way. Outward, you get almost a full splits. This is a snug joint also. You got thigh rotation. You do have 90 degrees of bend there at the knee. And again, the knee will bend both ways for both Autobot and Decepticon modes. As far as the feet go, they don't move up, they don't move down, but you do get some ankle tiltage. And, of course, we can give him his weapon. Oh, by the way, I totally forgot about the hand articulation. My bad. Wrist can rotate. Hands can open and close. The index finger is a separate piece. The other three fingers are just one solid piece. But anyway, we can take the weapon, plug it into his hand. It is the typical tab in the slot of the palm method of weapon holding. So there you go. You can now pew, pew, bang, bang, pew, pew, bang, bang in his Decepticon mode. So there you have that, and now for comparison. Here he is with MP Sideswipe. Here he is with Masterpiece Megatron. And here he is with the Power of the Primes punch, counter punch in his counterpunch mode. So you can see how that works out. So there you go. So that is basically it for his Decepticon mode. So now let's get into his Autobot mode, shall we? Let's. So the first thing we need to do is to hide his Decepticon face, and this can be a little hard to do. Me personally, I actually just pop his head off, and it's meant to pop off because we have a swappable head that I'll show off later. But basically, this face, you want to kind of slide it down. You can see where the gap is. I left the gap there because this makes life a little bit easier, but you just want to kind of slide this down and then rotate the face. Bring it back in, and then you can see that gap there, so you kind of want to slide this back up. So all that sits flush again, and now you're left with this weird kind of like smiley face. Which is so odd. I wish they would at least painted all this black so it matches the helmet in some way, but you know, it is what it is. We can pop his head back on. There we go. We hid the face. Kinda. It's smiling at me. It's weird. But once we've done that, we're just going to turn him around, and now we can work on his arms here. So what's going to happen is we're going to take this hand and bring it down, open up this panel, and flip out his Autobot hand. And then you want to make sure these fingers are completely closed up. You're just going to flip that in and bring that down and over. Rotate the hand so it's oriented properly. There you have that side all done. Same thing here. Bring that down. Bring that up, bring that up, bring that up, bring that down, turn it, and there you go. And next thing you're going to do is just take these shoulder pads and just rotate them back. And the last thing to do is just bring this face up, rotate it, bring all this back down, and there you go. There you have Punch Counter Punch in his Autobot mode. And I do like the Autobot mode a bit better just because it's a little bit more colorful, there's a little bit more going on here, but yeah, again, I think it looks pretty good. I can dig it, but let's get in close here so we can take a look again, not at the abs, at the noggin. We have a new noggin to look at. There we go, we get the nice blue there for the visor. Not a bad head sculpt there. And we've seen all of this before, but now it's the front instead of the back. Now we have the red fists. Yeah, some smaller toesies, but still, it works. And move up the back. Same as the front, back, front. Again, we've seen all this, but yeah. And articulation is exactly the same. You don't lose any, you don't gain any. It's the exact same amount of articulation. Again, you have that double jointed elbow that now works this way, which again, just works kind of weird. Just, you know, due to how the hinges work, but hey, at least it's a double jointed elbow. It's better than nothing. Again, maybe they could have found a more elegant way to work that, but you know, yeah, that's not for me to figure out. And of course, we can give him his weapon, his Autobot mode weapon. Now, one thing that is a little bit annoying about this one is that since the handle does rotate, it can kind of be a little bit of a pain in the butt to get in his hand, because then the handle wants to rotate when you don't want it to. It might, oh, actually cooperated this time. Thank you. Thank you for cooperating. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. And get pew pew bang bang, pew pew bang bang in his Autobot mode. Hooray! Cooperation. You gotta love it. And now for comparison again. Here he is with MP44 Prime. And here he is with the Power of the Primes version. So, there you go. And one last thing to talk about is some noggin options. That's right, we get some of those. We do have an extra face here with his mouth just slightly open, just kind of like, buh. That's what it looks like to me anyway. Just, anyway, swapping the faces is, the face is on a mushroom peg, and I haven't honestly been able to get this out. It's just super tight on my copy, and I just don't bother with it. But if you can get that off, you can just swap the face and have them looking all confused and you know, again, things you can do if you want to do it. But if you don't want to do that, you get a whole new head, and I believe this is a more cartoon accurate head. You can see how that looks. You can see the Decepticon side there, and this does have also has the faces that you can flip around for whatever mode you're in. It actually looks better than these with the weird smiley face. So this, I will probably display him with this head because it looks a lot better, and it's also the tune accurate head. So I prefer that myself, and again, that face can also flip around. Again, depending on whatever mode you have it in, you can have that face flipped, and I am going to pop this off and pop this one on because I like this head more. So there you go. That looks a lot better to me, but as always, it's your toy. Display it however you wish. So there you have Bond James, and yeah, overall, I like this figure. The vehicle modes look good, the robot modes look good. You know, I do have my qualms with it. I wish the shoulder connections were just a bit beefier, not because they feel fragile, but just for aesthetic reasons. I just wish they were a bit beefier, just so you had a little bit more to look at when you move his arms up and down. The transformation, for the most part, works well. I've heard some people call this a nightmare transformation. It's not as far as I'm concerned anyway. It does have its fiddle factor, I will say that. It does have its fiddle factor, but it was never anything to a frustrating degree. Two things I would definitely say to watch out for is those side panels that you have to undo when you're going into robot mode, those side card panels that are held in by that little tab. Be careful with that, and again, you can always just shave the bottom of that tab down just to make life a little bit easier for you so you don't risk breaking that tab. And those back panels, those back taillight panels in the vehicle mode also, I wish those swung out further. Just to give you that little bit of extra clearance would have been nice, but, you know, that's another thing you need to watch out for. Just don't, you know, wrench back on them because you'll just snap them off. Other than that, the transformation works just fine. And of course, I'm just speaking from my own personal experience. Your mileage may vary. But I personally never had any frustrations transforming him. But overall, I think he's a decent figure. Definitely room for improvement, but overall, I think he's a decent figure, and I'm pretty pleased with him, so there you go. Now, I picked this up from TF Safari. I'll put a link to their site in the description down below so you can check that out. And if you use the promo code 2022 EmGo Review at checkout, you will get a discount on your order. You can also get X-Transbots figures from BigBadToyStore.com, as always, linked in the description down below, so you can check that out as well. You can also check out the third-party Transformers playlist for any reviews you may have missed, also linked in the description down below, so you can check that out as well. And I think that's it, so don't forget to check out EmGames, check out Love, Peace, Paranormal, follow me on Twitter, all that good stuff down in the description below, and I think that's pretty much all there is to say. So, there is the X-Transbots Bond James, and this is EmGo saying, remember, you don't stop playing because you grow old because you stop playing. Be geek, be proud, palm in your face. Now listen to me and listen good. I want you to go to the Autobot base and get Prime to tell you all of his secrets. I can do that. Be right back. Hey Prime, can you, tell me all your secrets? Not right now. Fine. Yeah, he's not talking. Whoa! Hey, you can do that too? I'm ambidextrous.